Hello and welcome to this rather small but perfectly formed edition of the Full Force News Burst, brought to you by byGeneralsJoes.com, with me as your host, Chris Micro McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80. Joining me today to discuss the news that Hasbro will be teaming up with wicked cool toys to bring Micro Machines back to store shelves is Adam. I'm doing work for Marvel now, so what the am I doing on this show? Riches. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this news burst. Yesterday, we heard reports out of Hasbro that they had entered into an agreement to appoint Wicked Cool Toys as global master toy licensee for one of the hottest toy lines of the 1980s and 1990s, Micro Machines. As well as their own original IP, Wicked Cool Toys have had a number of master licenses in the past, including Pokemon and the Cabbage Patch Kids. Micro Machines was a huge brand back in the day for Galoob, selling not only the amazingly detailed small vehicles, but also hugely enjoyable playsets and much more. The new line is expected to hit store shelves in the fall of 2020, or autumn, as we like to call it in the UK. Co-president of Wicked Cool Toys, Michael Rinzler, said, "Micro Machines is one of those amazing nostalgic brands that still has appeal 30 years later. There is huge potential to bring it back." Co-president of Wicked Cool Toys, Jeremy Padua, continued to say, "Considering recent toy unboxing trends, the brand's multi-generational appeal and the vehicle category's ripeness for something new again, we believe Micro Machines will be a global phenomenon." Finally, Hasbro General Manager and Senior Vice President of Entertainment and Licensing, Casey Collins, said, "We are thrilled to be partnering with Wicked Cool Toys, an entrepreneurial toy company that has a proven track record in relaunching classic brands with product innovation and a modern, sophisticated marketing approach. We are excited to collaborate to introduce Micro Machines to a whole new generation of kids." Further details on the line should be revealed later this year, so Adam, with that said, are you excited for this development? Did you have the toys when you were a kid?
I feel like I should answer you really fast and talk like Micro Machine Man, John Machida Jr., you know?
I should have done the same, shouldn't I?
It should have been. Before, you know?
Yesterday we heard reports of the Hasbro that the end. Yeah, that's what should have happened.
I actually told Jeremy Padua, I'm friends with him on Facebook. I said, as soon as I saw this press release go up, I said, "Man, if you don't get John Machida Jr. to come back, he's for one YouTube spot and do a commercial like that, this whole thing's a bust."
Totally agree.
To answer your question, yes, I did have the toys as a child. A few things that stood out to me, especially back then, I had the Nintendo video game, which is sort of a not official title for the NES. It was put out by a company called Comerica.
Yeah.
But I also I didn't really have a lot in the way of, I guess, the standard vehicles. I had a ton of the Star Wars themed ones. I had the Endor playset, the Millennium Falcon.
Nice. My
cousin had Super Van City.
Nice.
Like big white, and I wanted it so bad. And I sometimes still, like, you know, whatever, it's 25 years later, I'm like, should I buy that?
I picked one up not long ago. It was it wasn't the best. I mean, the box was in a box, but it was like the kid who ever had it originally. I say kid, it was probably an adult. Cut like one of the proof of purchase things out the back of it, but other than that, it's in pretty good nick. But yeah, I bloody love that thing.
Yeah, my opinion of Micro Machines, like, was that the commercials made it seem like larger than life. Like, wow, a whole city in a van, and then you get it, and you're like, this is cool, I guess. You know?
I tell you what, it was definitely, you know, as a kid it was great, but when you go back to it as an adult, everything. Like, obviously the Micro Machines were tiny, but yeah, the play sets weren't that big at all. But I did love the little kind of like travel play sets they'd have, like kind of like snap open in half, and you could kind of connect them all together like Lego pieces to make like a big kind of city. And then when you folded them up again, you could take all the bits that kind of connected on the top and put them inside, and it was like a little travel case. They were amazing, those things.
Oh, for sure. Another thing that I really loved about Micro Machines, too, is the people, which that hasn't really been discussed yet, I guess, what their rollout strategy is. But, like, I remember having all the little, like, Star Wars Imperial troops and stuff, and I would use them in place in, like, Monopoly and stuff. Like, I thought it was really cool that you could have, like, miniature people as a thing to play with. So,
and of course, G.I. Joe was Micro Machined at one point, wasn't it?
It was, which I guess if you want to have a whole offshoot conversation here with Micro Machines and Tonka both being announced for returns in the same day, one must wonder.
Yeah.
Is there licensing potential? Could a crossover happen?
I think it's pretty high probability that we could see some G.I. Joe, especially considering we've obviously just had the app game, which isn't. It's kind of they've cancelled it now, which is a real shame. They've shut all the servers down and all that kind of stuff too, so you can't even play it for fun. Like it's just, they just shut the app down. But I'd only just unlocked some of the G.I. Joe vehicles. Like it took me like a year and a half or something stupid to actually, a really long time to actually unlock the G.I. Joe vehicles, because I wasn't like pumping loads of money into it, which is what they want you to do. That's kind of what they want you to do in the pay apps. But obviously with the G.I. Joe connection there's a high probability we could see G.I. Joe vehicles as Micro Machines from this particular license, right?
I would think so, yeah. I mean, I think that's always one of the things that's really most fun about Micro Machines and just this scale in general is the licensing potential and what you could do with it. Because like I had that Endor playset, for example, and one of the things that I remember being so cool about that was that they had like a hill with little rolling logs and like swinging trees that you could crush the AT-ATs with and stuff. And I was like, or ATST, not AT-AT. And I would have just hated myself if I didn't correct that.
No problem.
But and that's the kind of stuff that you would never be able to do that at 4-inch or 6-inch or 8-inch scale.
No.
I mean, it would be the size of a house. So I think that's one of the coolest things. Is just what kind of like amazing display potential and playset potential that Micro Machines presents for all kinds of lines. And I think when you look at the various brands that Wicked Cool has already partnered with, I think there's a lot of potential there for all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, like I think WWE's got a license with them as well. So like.
A little ring,
like,
ring.
A huge like whole like stadium playset, which is something that could never occur otherwise. Like, I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff you could do. So it's really a limitless potential. I mean, obviously, I think Star Wars has got to come back on board at some point, just because that was such a big thing for them in the '90s.
So I take it you think Wicked Cool Toys are a good fit for the Micro Machines brand?
Yeah, I definitely do. There's a lot of companies. It's an interesting strategy. I know Wicked Cool is one, and Jazzwares, and I forget they've rebranded. It might be Basic Fun now.
Yeah.
There's companies that have taken on Hasbro licensees, and they do like they brought back things like Stretch Armstrong or Light Bright, like classic toys that maybe right now wouldn't be top priority for Hasbro, but for a smaller brand like that they're really able to do good things with it. And I think Wicked Cool is a perfect fit for this. Jeremy was in a high up position at Jakks Pacific back in the day, so he's got tons of experience dealing with licensors, and I have full faith that they will do cool things with this. And it's just a fun concept, and you see like Polly Pockets back at retail now, and I think that this could usher in maybe a return for this scale and getting this back on the radar, and maybe this leads to Mighty Max, so I mean, I just think there's a ton of potential in this scale and what could come of it.
It kind of reminds me of like the G.I. Joe and Cobra mini vehicles as well that you'd get in the in the packed into the figures back in the day. Like there's just the thought of having kind of modern Micro Machine hiss tanks and little vamps and stuff like that's really. I'm just kind of getting excited at the amount of different things you could get at that scale. Mamba or something like that, the Tomahawk. It'd be amazing. Coming back to the actual initial lineup of toys, or what do you expect them to reveal as an initial line? Do you think it'll be kind of like your basic kind of sports car type scenario, or do you think they'll come out with different crossover licenses?
That's hard to say. I mean, I think right out of the gate you would expect them to kind of do your standard, like cars, trucks, Jeeps, planes, boats, that sort of stuff. But I don't know if they're going to be dipping back into the old tooling, or if that even exists, or if they're going to approach this with all new stuff, or what. I mean,
it'd be a different build, wouldn't it? Because I mean, as much as I love those original Micro Machines, I mean, it's a die-cast base. It's a screw, kind of little plastic wheels on two thin metal axles, and then you've got like the body, which is anything from plastic to it's usually plastic, isn't it? So I mean, it's doubtful they'd go for something like that, right?
My thought would be that they would be all plastic. I mean, I have no basis for that other than that just for the sake of keeping the price point competitive with similar brands like Hot Wheels and stuff, because they don't really need to be die cast. I mean, at that scale, you're not really going to be so rough with them that anything would happen to them. It's almost one of those, like, this is such a like strange, but how like it's very difficult to crush an egg in your hand because it's so small, and it's like it's like the same thing. Like if you step on a Hot Wheel, you'll crack the roof, but if you step on something as tiny as a Micro Machine, it might just like go shooting out of from under your foot.
It will disappear into your foot fat.
So
just like look at your foot and be like, "What's that? Oh, I've got like 7 Micro Machines crushed into the skin of my feet." But
this is why the listeners love me. I'm going to give you another weird anecdote that has nothing to do with this. I used to keep my shoes by the door, and I'll never forget one time. I drove to the bank drive-through, and like as I'm sitting in the line waiting, I feel this like weird. I describe it as like a pressure on the side of my foot, and I was like, I thought I was having like a weird like muscle spasm or something, and so I was like, God, what is that? So I was gonna like rub my foot, so I take my shoe off, and there is a full-size lizard, and I was like, oh my God! Like I like practically threw my shoe out the window. So yeah, that's what's gonna happen with micro machines. You're gonna step on them, they're just gonna absorb into your bloodstream and manifest at the most inopportune time, like while you're driving.
And that's how we get the first human Transformer crossovers. That's how it'll happen. That's amazing, and another fantastic anecdote that I'm gonna have to somehow come up with something on Photoshop to show. Oh my God, dude! Thank you so much for jumping on and chatting about Micro Machines. I am super excited now. Something I really loved as a kid was the little aircraft carrier from Micro Machines. I thought it was gorgeous. I went out with my auntie Jan, and she took me out to, I think it was Cromer, in the middle of nowhere in the UK on the coast, and she bought that for me, and we were going back home, and it was on the same day that my dad was doing this incredible thing on the beach for the RNLI, the lifeboat. Now he was getting, I don't know why I wasn't on the beach to witness this, and instead I was buying a little mini aircraft carrier from Cromer, but he was being winched from a helicopter onto a lifeboat. And it was like they were doing some sort of like, display of like the rescue services kind of thing. So there was loads of people there on the beach. They had like some sort of like aerial display. And then one of the things was my dad being lowered from a helicopter onto a lifeboat. And I remember, I've got pictures of it, but obviously not. I wasn't there when he did it. But I just remember like loving that Micro Machines aircraft carrier and just being like, this is so awesome. And then in later life, when I saw it again, I'm like, holy shit, this is tiny. For some reason, I thought this was like a flag. I thought, it was like a 7-foot play set. It's like, no, I was just a lot smaller back then. So
it was in scale with you.
Exactly. It was a 1-to-1.
Oh man, did you ever have Car Wash City? That was an awesome one too. You get the little clear spinning thing.
Yes. And the adverts for all of these like play sets, just like you say, the commercials were just sold these amazing products because for one, the guy, the fastest talking guy in the world, the Guinness World Record holder, that was a genius little move as well, like marketing wise. But everything, like, because everything's filmed so close up, so it just looks so grand, doesn't it? Like everything's like, you see the cars going around the streets and it's just awesome. I can't wait for this line to come back.
I didn't think I needed it, and then we started talking about it, and I'm like, maybe I do.
You never need any of this. You just really, really
want it. That's what my
it.
therapist tells me. But here I am buying it all.
I'm your therapist, though, aren't I?
Well, if you are, you're not a very good one.
It's all right, I'm not getting paid for it either, so it's fine.
Yeah, I feel like all my friends are just enablers. I need to meet some people that aren't in this world so that they'll be like, this is insane behavior. Yes. You're in your 30s. Yeah. Get priorities,
Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm soon to be out of my 30s in next year. By next year, that's terrifying. Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Where did it all go? The time flies by. Micro Machines.
Oh God, how did Micro Machines become an existential deep conversation about what we're doing is so wrong? Anyway, that's it for this installment of the Full Force News Burst. Thank you to my awesome co-host Adam Riches. See you next time, and as always, if it doesn't say full force, it's not the real thing. If it doesn't say full force, it's not the real thing. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback or questions. We have also started a Patreon page, so if you want to see your name up in lights on these videos or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.